On. Do you ever use FeedSpot?
Yeah, so I do get alerts from FeedSpot. The problem FeedSpot is some of the content that I get fed or not relevant. But yes, I use FeedSpot as well. It's a good one.
All right, so this is hey, I see Tom's in the house now. Tom,
Woohoo!
what's up, brother?
Finish line.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. Passing the finish line. Okay, now I lost my train of thought since exciting Tom is here. So we go all over the place in this room. We talk Clubhouse, we talk podcasting, social media. Part of that is we're also on personal journeys. We're also telling our story. Our dear friend Tom, he is an Ironman because he crossed that finish line, but he's been an Ironman before, but he set out to document his journey. So I think I saw about 155 straight days he documented on TikTok and these other forms of media. So Tom, the floor is yours, man. I'll quit talking about your accomplishment.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks. Sorry for being late, everybody. I was, believe it or not, I was actually out on a ride, and I lost track of time a little bit. So I apologize for getting in the room late. But yeah, thanks so much for that welcome, Dom and Julie. So finished my second Ironman. And this time around, I decided to document the process like Dom was talking about. So I think it was 153 days. It was day 152 was the day before the race. So race day would have been 153. So it was 153 days of a vlog documenting my training, documenting my experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, including early on in training on day 12, having an accident on my bike and breaking my collarbone and having to have surgery to fix it back in April. So wasn't able to start swimming until the beginning of July. And when I first went in for my first consult with the orthopedist, he told me I wasn't going to do the Ironman. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, I am. And so I was super proud of it and really proud of hitting my time goal too. So my goal was to finish under 12 hours and I snuck in at 11:54. So I made it under 12 hours and it was a really challenging course. It got a little warm and humid.
Tom, give us total distance when you say 12 hours. Please
Sure.
Explain the total distance of this goal that you had.
Sure. So an Ironman triathlon, a full Ironman triathlon consists of 3 events, a swim, a bike, and a run. And the swim is 2.4 miles. The bike is 112 miles. And then the run is 26.2 miles. So it's a total of 140.6 miles that you cover over the course of that race. So, I was pretty solidly, I'm pretty solidly like a middle of the pack kind of guy, maybe just ahead of the middle of the pack kind of age group athlete. The pros do it in around 8 hours. So much faster than I could possibly do it. But happy with my result, especially considering how challenging the bike course is at that race in particular. There's a lot of climbing on that bike course. You're basically up and down to a ski mountain, and there's about 6,000 feet of climbing. It's the equivalent of, if you picked a hill that's 6,000 feet tall, it's the equivalent of riding from sea level up to the top of that hill over the course of the bike, the 112 miles you cover on the bike. So it rained early in the day, and then the sun came out, so it got kind of humid. which obviously makes things challenging. Your body has to work extra hard to thermoregulate. So anytime you have to combat temperatures or higher temperatures or humidity, things like that, it just makes it that much more challenging. So it was hard. It was definitely hard. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Doing an Ironman is always hard. But I got it done. And I just want to say I appreciate everybody that followed my journey. I really appreciate. I've gotten a bunch of feedback, a bunch of comments from people thanking me for documenting the process, and I really appreciate everybody that followed along. And stay tuned, because the next adventure is coming up, and I'm going to keep doing the videos.
Excellent. Thank you, Tom, and well done. And why I wanted to go down this route too is, as Tom journeying, documenting 150 days on the bike to do an Ironman, does our personal journey impact business? And should we show our personal journey? Some people might say, nope, I can't let them in on that. And then somebody else might say, no, that's equally a part of business. So I wanted to open that up to the room as well. But Tom, I'll let you tackle that, and then we'll go to Prof T.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% believe that you should, right? I think there's a big problem that a lot of people run into when it comes to the content that they create for their business versus content they might create for themselves. And the problem is they try to separate it in the same way. It's that sort of age-old idea, which I think is complete crap. But it's that age-old idea that there's like personal life and professional life. And like, I don't know about anybody else here, but like there's one me, and I ain't got time to try to be pretending that I'm somebody else when I'm not working versus when I'm somebody when I am working, versus depending on who I'm talking to. Like, I'm just me. I don't have the time or the energy or the attention to try to pretend to be somebody else, nor should I have to. Right. And that's kind of, I also don't like this whole like work-life balance thing, because, I don't think you should overwork, but at the same time too, like, your work is part of your life. It's not like life only happens outside of work. Work is part of your life. There is no work-life balance. They're not opposite sides of the same coin. Work is part of your life. So there's that. And then the other thing that people really miss is that businesses don't treat customers, clients, potential customers and clients, the community that they serve, they don't treat them like people. They treat them like data points on a spreadsheet, right? And so when you're treating them like data points on a spreadsheet, when all you're worried about is how much cash they're going to inject into your business, and you're not thinking about them as people, you're not going to treat them like people, right? And when you do that, you miss out on the opportunity to actually connect with them, to actually form meaningful relationships with your customers, with your community. If you treat them like human beings, and that starts with how you address them, what you share with them. If you share a little bit of yourself with them, if you give them an opportunity to connect with you on a human level, right, then you are creating the opportunity to form meaningful relationships with them that will long support your business. So stop, like, just drives me absolutely crazy. I'm sure you can tell that you got me going on a little bit of a tirade, but like, stop treating people like data points. Treat people like people and connect with them, whether or not it's in a business context or a personal context. Connect with them like people, right? Become friends with them, become friendly with them, share value with them, treat them the same way you would treat other people in any other part of your life, and you will see the benefit from it. That's my thinking on it.
Beautiful, Tom. I'm glad we got you shot out of a cannon. And we weren't here last week. I was out running around New York City with my family. Tom was doing his Ironman. So we appreciate you guys not forgetting about us and knowing that we believe in consistency, and we try to be here every week. And but it's always a good room. You guys make it happen. I'm appreciative of the tips, the stories, the messages, the love. So let's keep this thing rolling. Prof T, where are you at on all this? If you got a tip, share it. If you got a question, share it. If you want to comment on this, that business and personal life are intertwined. Go on.
Hey, everybody, good morning. Prof T from Philly. It's a great question. And boy, how do I follow somebody like Tom? Just jaw dropping. Thanks for sharing, Tom. Here's what I would say, and I'll keep it brief. I'm on my way into a meeting. Going to be presenting. So, people have asked me this so many times, being in the field of mental health as a psychotherapist and a coach. People ask me all the time, are you supposed to share your own personal stories? Should you share your own personal stories? So, what I've seen is in leadership, I'll start there, vulnerability. Uh, Leaders, a lot of times they don't want to share their vulnerabilities. Think now more than ever, what I'm seeing, the most successful companies are bringing in leaders who are okay to share a vulnerability. As far as therapists, coaches, counselors, you don't want to come across like, oh yeah, your child this, yeah, me too, or your partner that, yeah, me too. We want to be careful of the me too thing because that doesn't help anybody. I think you have to be strategic in how and when and where you input what's going on in your personal life. I think it needs to be, my personal opinion would be, it needs to be audience, for lack of a better word, audience appropriate. And the topic has to be relevant. And then finally, I'll land my plane with this, or park my Harley, or whatever it is I used to say. What I think is you have to be careful that you're not just inserting stuff so that people can feel like, hey, we're buddies, pals, let's go have a beer together. That's unprofessional. But you want to be able to allow people to feel like you sort of understand, you're real, you're human. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is it might help you on your journey. So that's it. If it helps, go for it. If it doesn't, shut it. Thanks. Prof T, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Prof T, good stuff as always. And I have to say, I've been watching Prof T's social media, and I'm a fan. You have different educational videos, and then she'll tell you about her haircut as well. Or I saw one of them the other day. It was two different kinds of dye. Was it Prof T? I mean, I'm into all that Prof T's got going on. I have a short attention span. I think social media makes my attention span shorter. So I like to see new stuff, different stuff, not the same thing all the time. So I am enjoying it. Prof T, did I see a different haircut? What was the post?
Yeah, so
See? Go
it's
on.
funny, because my hair is like a big mushroom, and in this humidity and everything, my hair can be extremely wild. So when I'm preparing for different things, I get my hair. I hate to say, I have to have my hair professionally straightened. That's what it was. But my stylist for that day, actually, I gave her a book, and she's like, "Let's take some pictures." So yeah, my hair was professionally straightened and this, that, and a third. And I like to showcase the salon because they do a great job, and I like to showcase the salon stylists because they're all working for a living, and I like to help them out by showing the work that they can do for hair such as Prof T. Thanks, great question.
No, Prof T, I loved it, and that brings up something else in mind that because we're in this social world of out there doing our thing and marketing, and if you're at a restaurant and you can tag the restaurant, if you're at the county fair and you can tag them and get them a little more exposure, do it. Scratch somebody else's back and help them out. So that is a good point about the salon. Imagine how thankful they are when they see magical Prof T with her two hairdos, uh, and now explaining about the mushroom. That was a great analogy, Prof T. Okay, we're moving on. We sidetracked with hair. I told you, interesting. I told you I got a short attention span, and then I get this room sidetracked with hair. Tom's Iron Man. Go,
You know what, Dom? Can I say something real quick before I go in
yeah,
my meeting?
have at it.
it's a great point. The hair, something as simple as the hair. But did you notice, like, I didn't go into what they did, how long it took, where we started, how we finished. The point got taken. Do something for your self care, do something nice for somebody, showcase somebody's artistic talent, what have you. And I got to showcase my book because I gave her a book and I signed it for her and she took a picture. So the point was well taken, the job was done, and I didn't have to go through China and go all around hills and valleys. That's what I wanted to say. So thanks. Back to you.
Beautiful. And you bring up, I have a note here today. Let's see here. This was something I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to read. Uh, this was a storytelling, whether on video or in book. And it's take me on the journey, hook me, grow, leave me thinking. And then it was don't tell, show. And to Prof T's point there, I could tell you, if I'm writing a book, I could tell you mom was nice, dad was mean. In a video, I could tell you exactly what's going on, but I could show you love a lot of different ways. I could show you that a father was mean to a child by his cruelty in actions, or I could show you that a mother loved by the way she hugged or the way she made a child special pie. So that's that don't tell show that's on my mind. Okay, if you want to talk about that, add that to the list of things we got to talk about here today. All right. Clubhouse, podcasting, publishing, and social media. We weren't here last week. We apologize, but follow the club. We're glad you're here today. We got our big man David and then John. David, go wherever you want to go. If you got a tip, you got a question, or if you got to drop in on one of these subjects, do your thing.
Hey everybody, great room. I love this room. You guys are awesome. So much great knowledge and wisdom here, Don. Tom, thanks for hosting every week. We did miss you guys last week, that's for sure. Um, yeah, just encouragement for everybody to continue to be real and to talk about personal stories. Like there's the stories we gather as we read, as we come into Clubhouse, as we listen to others. Those are great stories. But then there's the stories that we own, and that's our story. And if we can blend those together and pull from those resources, somebody told me a long time ago, Tom, treat life like a sweater. Let stuff stick to you. Let lint and all those things that you just can't get off your favorite sweater. Let those be the stories in your life that just happen to stick to you, because you never know when you're going to need to use those as a resource and pull those off the sweater and reference them in life. So that's always stuck to me. I love this. It's a great analogy and a great visual for how we can collect stories. So I love to blend my personal stories with the stories I collect because it gives you a rich well to draw from when you're interviewing people, hosting your podcast, uh, talking to others. It's a great resource to have. So anytime you can gain a story, get out there and learn and grow and listen to great people like you see on the stage and in the room today, because you'll be able to pick up these things and keep them for yourself for future. Thanks, Tom.
Love that idea of blending those personal stories. And one of my other notes here today, it's funny you mentioned that, was get out and share those stories. And early on, you could share them at the Rotaries, on Clubhouse, at the Chambers, the YMCA, with retiree groups, with breakfast clubs, that kind of thing, where you're crafting your message. If you want to be a storyteller, if you want to be a podcaster, if you want to write a book or something like that, those kind of groups are great places to practice those stories and see, does this story play here? Are people not interested in this? Do I need to tweak it? Did I start to see people yawning while I was talking? Did they all get up and go grab a drink, or were they captivated? And those are great places to practice those stories. David, great tips. Okay, I am going to share something personal right now. You mentioned sweaters, David. My sister bought me one of those things that it's a little machine about the size of your hand, and you can get all the little balls off your sweaters and stuff. So I go around I burned the battery up and the motor in it, doing sweaters, doing couches, doing everything I can. I am addicted to cutting the little balls and those things off of sweaters and stuff like that. So that's my interlude. All right, John, what do you got for us, John? What kind of tip you want to share? How you been, brother? I'm checking out your stuff all the time, man. We appreciate you. What are you up to, John?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Julie. Good to see you, Dominick, Johnny, David, Prof T, Tom, Boss, Dominick. Wally Green and Isaac. It's a pleasure to be here. The only thing I would share is, number one, I just want to comment about personal versus business. My life is an open book. However, every chapter is not for everybody all the time. So I have no problem with interspersing parts of my story in the radio show and podcast interviews I do when it fits. When I'm going to create separate content, the rule of thumb I use is what's in it for my consumer of my show. Because the most important thing I have to respect is their time. If they give me their time, I have to deliver something that's in it for them. If it's all about me, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. Yeah, I got to be honest with you, I'm just not that big of an influence in their lives. So I always intersperse it with what's in it for the consumer of my product, my show. Um, will it benefit them? If not, then chances are it's ego, and I don't need to create a lot of hype. It's just not something that produces for me. What I would say is this: always be expanding your horizons. Look at other opportunities where you can promote your story, your podcast, your book, your videos, whatever it might be. Johnny's going to say, Julie's going to say, we had a room last night. There's a great app called Breakout. Check it out. It's free. It's social audio and social media combined. And if you are any kind of content creator, why would you not? It's one of the benefits is you can post content directly to all your followers. You can do rooms for all your followers. You can do branded rooms. You can do paid rooms. A lot of things that we can't do here. And by the way, links are clickable. There's lots of advantages. I use both. I'm going to continue to use both, but always look at expanding your horizons. And Julie, I'm looking forward to our conversation today at 5:00. Speaking of expanding your horizons, Julie is a perfect example of doing just that.
Okay, do tell Julie. John said he teed you up, set you up. What do you got going on? Just a clap.
Oh,
It's like
John's gonna
it's
make
like
me
they're
a
in a private
star.
chat together. Go on. What's this tee up? What do you want to tell us about, Julie?
Oh, well, he's gonna make me a radio star. I mean, that's natural evolution, right? I have a face for radio, so yeah, he's gonna teach me everything he knows about the process. Can you hear me?
And
Do
I'm
you
going to
guys
help her
know
get
about
a
radio?
show
Like,
on
I
radio
really
when it's
don't.
ready and
It's
syndicated.
new.
Yeah, she's good.
Well, I have the face for radio,
Good.
so it's a natural evolution.
Oh, please. Enough. Okay, we're moving on from this negative nonsense. I won't hear it.
Nonsense.
I won't hear it. We only have stars in this room. See, you're getting me sidetracked. Tom, what say you? Clean this thing up for us.
What part do you want me to address?
I don't know. I don't even know where to go. We got Boss and
Wait, why was
Dominick
it
and
getting
Wally.
why is it getting messy? Dom, I'm gonna bring you back. I'm gonna focus you.
Okay. First, I had a question to ask Johnny back on. Let's see, we were talking about the Google Alerts, and the one thing I wanted to ask Johnny, what do you think the back end? What do you think the reason Google offers this platform to us is? I don't know. I mean, what do you think they're trying to get on the back end? Just so I know, is it going to be charged later on? What do you think?
No. They've been doing Google Alerts for the last 15 years.
Okay.
The reason they do it is because it promotes usage on their platform, and I'm sure some of the things that I get through alerts are paid boosts from. I mean, there's some revenue there somewhere, but I mean, it's a free service to the user, so there's no reason not to use it. It's phenomenal. But hey, I want to talk about this separation of personal life and professional life, because I have very little separation at all. Now, I don't share a lot about, you know, uh, the struggles that I face. I don't think anyone really cares. But my performance art is based on my real life and real life experiences, my youth growing up, and the stories around that. And speaking of which, just a little bit of self promotion. Tomorrow night, I am launching the world debut of my brand new one man theater show inspired by my podcast, Back of the Cereal Box. It's called Back of the Cereal Box Adulting is Hard. And it asks the question, what happens when a middle aged kid at heart sees the world through the lens of cartoons, comics, and the instructions from the back of the cereal box? And it's all about surviving adulthood today. So that debuts tomorrow in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm incredibly anxious about it. It's the most ambitious thing I've ever done. It is semi autobiographical. And yeah, so ta da!
Love it, Johnny. Go big, brother. So what makes you say, what makes, just for the room here, that kind of thing, somebody that's thinking about writing a book, thinking about doing a play, thinking about screenplay, doing a video, what makes you go bigger than you've ever went?
Well, so it's funny, and that's a big question with a long answer. I'll try to keep it quick. Um, in 1989, I was a senior in high school, 17 years old, and there was a show on Showtime called Stephen Banks Home Entertainment Center. And it was a one man show about a musician struggling to survive the corporate rat race. And it like totally inspired me. It lit up my imagination of what could be done. And ever since then, since 1989, I've had this dream of doing a similar project in my head. And it just so happened that all of the pieces came together this year to make it a reality. And it's, inspired by something I saw when I was 17. It's not a copy, it's, inspired by, and, I'm going to give full credit to Stephen Banks when we do the show tomorrow. But, um, it's just a dream that I've always had of making it happen. And now the timing is right, 30 plus years later. And yeah, that's why I'm doing it now. Now, keep in mind, this is the most ambitious project I've ever done, but I've produced national theater tours. I've written my own original musical that I produced off Broadway in New York, and managed a cast of 13 people traveling around the country. And this is just me on the stage, most prop intensive thing I've ever done. And it's the most ambitious thing I've ever done. And I got to tell you, I've never really been nervous about a performance before. And right now I'm terrified, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do the world debut over the next 4 days. And hopefully something bigger comes out of it. We'll see.
Love it, Johnny, man. Thank you for sharing. I love this idea of, I'm gonna say something about nerves here, and I bet people are gonna say I've never been nervous or that kind of thing, but I think nerves are all right. So I think my belief is, if you care about something, if you care passionately about something, you should be nervous. But if you've prepared, you should also know you're going to kick its ass. So I think it's a catch 22. Yeah, like some people. Oh, I've never been nervous. I don't know. And maybe you haven't pushed yourself as far. But Wally, I see you clipping. Wally's clapping, not clipping, but that would be interesting. Okay, Wally, what do you want to say, man? Jump in there.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. As a professional athlete, I play, all over the world, and I'm nervous every single time. and I have my 10,000 hours of mastery. I'm a master at my craft, but I'm always nervous. Every time I'm nervous, because the reason I'm nervous is because, first of all, I respect my opponent. I think when you're not, especially in sports, if you're not nervous, then that means you kind of don't respect your opponent, and you don't expect what your opponent can bring to the table. So I'm always nervous, always. But in the same token, because I have my training, because I'm dedicated, I know that once the score is 0-0 and it's time to play, now that nervousness goes out, right? So I think it's great to be nervous. Being nervous shows that you're actually human, shows that you actually care, and it shows that you actually care about the other person that you're going against, or the people that you're doing whatever it is you're doing for. Yeah. So yeah, nervousness is great. I'm nervous all the time, at least for the first few minutes. But when it's game time, time to focus, time to get down, time to win. So yeah, Wally, I'm done speaking. Thanks.
Good stuff, Wally. Thank you, my friend. Glad you're here. Glad to see you. I was up in your town, New York City. Brooklyn, did it all, man. Brooklyn Bridge, subways, Wall Street, great place. They treated me well. Boss, what do you got going on? Boss, let's see. Lady Comp, I was reading this. Are you struggling with expressing your uniqueness? Your individuality is a gift. I salute that, boss lady, Roxanne. So DM to find out how to unleash your creative powers. Yes, now we're talking. Okay, boss lady, you want to jump in on the conversation, drop a tip, or ask a question? Go ahead.
Hi, Dominic. Thanks for this space. I really resonated with what Tom was saying about there's no separation. And I think for the longest time, as a society on a whole, we've been trained that you are separate from work. Work is a different identity of you. Um, and it's separate from your whole life. And I think I feel, just me personally, I feel that more and more people are becoming open to the idea of not having separation. Like your life is your life on a whole, and what you do to for an income and to make an impact in this world and to provide for yourself is just an extension of who you are. And I think the more we can adopt that mindset, the more people might end up getting into careers or work that is more fulfilling because it's not separated from themselves. It's not just a place to make money, but it's a place where you expand on your skills, abilities, interests, passions, and learn and grow. And so my thing is, why I like Tom shared is because it's encouraging me with my stage of what I do for work. So in the past, I worked for corporate as a music therapist, and then in 2016, I formed my own business and I contract my services out to corporate. And now, since the pandemic, I have a new offering where I'm working more one to one with people. And so I noticed with this new offering, my social media needs to be tweaked a bit because I liked what Prof T said as well. Like, yes, you do want to share, and depending on who your clients are, who your audience is, you want to, be strategic and mindful with what you share. So I feel like when people are doing a lot of coaching and consulting, I think it is important to share some of your personality and your personal life because that's how the people can better resonate with what you're all about to see if it's really for them or not. And that's how they begin to like feel comfortable and trust you, and then just kind of finding the balance from there. So that's kind of my journey right now, finding the balance between what I share personally, how I share personally, um, and then just, the professional stuff or the education and informational stuff. So thank you everyone for your shares and your perspectives. It definitely helps me and gives me things to ponder and digest and see what works for me to implement in my life on social media and as a business owner. And I'm complete for now. Thank you.
That's awesome to hear, boss lady. Thanks for sharing that. And I want to clarify, calling back to what our friend John was talking about, and what you just sort of touched on too. When I say share who you are, I don't mean air all of your secrets, right? Um, I what I mean is share pieces of your personality, share pieces of you that help people understand who you are as an individual, right? So when I say, like, I'll just use myself as an example. When I started my vlog series for my Ironman, the whole idea was to do two things. One was to create accountability for myself. It was entirely a selfish reason, right? It was to create accountability for myself. And two was to share the journey in the hopes that it might inspire someone else to uh to take on a challenge like an Ironman, right? Or a challenge in their own life. Because I was always going to be honest about the amount of work that it took, the ups and downs that you inevitably face whenever you're tackling a big challenge. And I think it's important that people do that personal, like, or professionally as well, right? When they share content for their business. And I shared those videos on all of my business channels. In fact, I shared them on LinkedIn. I actually didn't start sharing them on LinkedIn. This is an interesting one, right? So I didn't start sharing them on LinkedIn. It was a few days in before I was like, you know what? Because in the back of my head, I had a little voice going like, no, 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 this isn't for LinkedIn, right? It's not just about your business. And I listened to that voice for the first few days, maybe the first week or so. And then I was like, you know what? Screw that. I don't care. It's about me. I am part of my business, right? I own my own business. I am part of my business. Talex Media is me. I am Talex Media. And so I was going to share it on my LinkedIn, right? And you know what? I got tons of positive feedback on my LinkedIn, and nobody ever commented and said, "Why are you sharing this here?" Right? So share a bit of yourself personally and professionally. Share the parts of yourself that help people understand who you are, that help make you um, uh, present as a well-rounded person to your audience. Don't be afraid to do that. But clearly, that doesn't necessarily mean you should just air it all out. I've never aired all of my secrets on social media, and I never will, right? And I wouldn't encourage anybody else to do that. So, moderate, right? Moderate yourself. Know your audience, right? But share, for sure. I know we're kind of moving down the line here, and I want to jump to my friend uh, Dr. Tachi. Obviously, Dr. Tachi, you can jump on your own subject if you want. You're always free to do that, but would love to hear what you think about that whole kind of separation of personal and professional. Personally, I think that was something that was all designed by businesses, by big businesses, large businesses, because it specifically helps them. If you believe that when you go to work, you're only there to do what they want you to do, and you have to leave all of the rest of your life outside of that place of work, like, who does that benefit? That benefits the person that you're working for. At least they think it does, but it doesn't really, because happy people produce better work. So I don't know, Dr. Tachi, take that. You can take that and run with it if you like, or take us in another direction. The floor is yours, my friend.
Now, you know good and well that I will always co-sign on whatever you say because it's absolutely perfect. And good morning, everyone, and good to have you, Dominic and Tom, back. I 100% agree that even when you look at it, okay, from a social media perspective, when I'm doing workshops or I'm running, I run some social media accounts for some clients. The big thing is I always tell them, but it has to be about you as well. If you are a realtor, it can't just be about selling houses. It can't just be about how much you made in real estate. It can't just be about the real estate market, because people, we already hear this. It may sound cliche, but know, like, and trust. People buy houses and things from people that they know, like, and trust. If I don't know you, I don't trust you, and I'm probably not going to like you. That's from a consumer standpoint. So, of course, my advice is always to put something out there about yourself. Like you said, Tom, it doesn't need to be deep secret, and that's not advisable, but you need to share who you are. And think about it, people align and communicate best with people that have shared a bit of their personal selves. Think about how many likes um, posts about dogs or cats get, about animals in general, right? If you have pets, you see a whole bunch of likes, like. They may not like any damn thing else you do, but they'll like the post about your dog, Charlie. So that's a way of putting something out about yourself, saying, I'm a pet lover, I'm a dog lover. That I have a side of me that's outside of work. So even if it's not pets or whatever, it could be hobbies or whatever the case may be. You went on a trip recently. Like, I love the Iron Man things that you've been sharing, Tom. It's wonderful because not only it's goal oriented, but it also gives us an insight into what you value and what you believe in things. And once I find out, maybe as a consumer or a possible client, that aligns with what I like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give this person a call. So I'm 100% for doing that. And you're right, Tom, all of that was created and designed to keep work about what the people in charge want, what the office wants, because it does benefit them. But if you think about it, you're right. The happier you are as a person, the more joyful or at least tolerable you will be at work. And then, it's also good to think about, okay, the separation, it's hard. Some people have to separate it because they really don't like what they do very much. And if they allow that to seep into who they are, it could be problematic for them. And so it's not always easy. And sometimes it is speaking from a point of privilege to say, do what you love. Some people don't always have that choice, but I think it's a choice you can work toward. I can't do it now, but how can I start on the path to doing what I love, right? Again, because it's really easy for us to say because we may be doing it, but somebody else may not have that choice. But you do have the choice to say, you know what, I want to do that eventually. How can I start? What little things can I do? Even if that means using the job that I can't stand right now as a way to fund what I really want to do. So don't think about it as a job that I hate. Think about it as a dream funder. So with that, I give the mic back to you, Tom.
Go
Dr.
ahead, Tom.
Tachi's, yeah, Dr. Tachi's killing it. I love this. There's so many things that she touched on that were um, so important. I just wanted to follow up on one, the alignment of values. So all of you have so many different interests that you're out there supporting activities like Dr. Tachi said, loving your cats and dogs and things like that. Imagine sharing those things and somebody else being able to say, Tom's a good guy. He has multiple dogs running around his backyard. Or Dr. Tachi, she's great. I see she does Habitat for Humanity. I think I use this analogy. The quicker I can show somebody that I don't have two heads, meaning I am not some other person somewhere else. This is what you see. Me and Jimmy down there, we hang out all the time. And Jimmy would say that this is me wherever I am. That's what you get. It is what all I can be is the best me I can be. So now one thing I wanted to go back on, this value of sharing the story. Some people want to I want you to share your story. You have such a unique story. Some people get on social media and they want to share their whole story in one post, or they get in a Clubhouse room and they want to share everything in one 30-second bio, whatever. You don't need to do that. Your story is far too valuable. You've accomplished too much. Don't diminish your accomplishments by spraying it, by showing up and throwing up all in 30 seconds, or on this podcast interview where you have to tell your whole story, or anywhere you're at. No, you don't have to tell everything. Just be interesting. Give them a little bit of yourself, and then let them uncover the. I say peel the onion, but I don't like that analogy. There's got to be a better. Onions have layers. There's got to be a better analogy than peeling an onion. So anyway, that's what I got, Tom. So back to you, and then we got Dominick and our man Wally. So go, do your thing.
I mean, I'm just going to keep it really simple. The respect is mutual. It's a two-way street between Dr. Tachi and I. So I am going to co-sign on everything she said, the same way she co-signs on everything I said. Yeah, I mean, 100% agree that it's really important to continue sharing those personal notes, because people do buy from people that they know, like, and trust, right? And how do you build trust? People have to get to know you, right? And so I think it's incredibly important that people remember that. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's never going to repel people that you align with on values, on perspective, right? If you share bits of your personality, all it's going to do is attract the kind of people you want to do business with and repel the kind of people you don't want to do business with. So yeah, I don't think there's a downside to it, honestly. Can you overshare? Yeah, absolutely. You can overdo anything, right? So you need to temper it, but also don't hold back, right? When it comes to sharing struggles, like our friend Prof T was talking about earlier, leaders that are able to share vulnerability are better leaders, right? Soft skills are incredibly important when it comes to effective leadership, and they're often overlooked, right? It's not just about how organized you are or how strict you can be. It's about how good you are at communicating with people and treating people like people and making people feel that they're valued, right? And you do that by sharing yourself and sharing your vulnerabilities with them and creating an opportunity for them to return that to you, to share their vulnerabilities with you, right? And to place their trust in you. So yeah, so I think 100%. You have to give people an opportunity to care, right, in order to be successful. So so thanks, Dr. Tachi, for sharing all that. Really appreciate it. And thanks for the opportunity to respond, Dom. And you said we're going to Dominick, right? Next. So Dominick, my friend.
We got Dominick. Let's go. We got Dominick Lawson, entrepreneur, award-winning podcaster. When he's laying his bio out, so now I got to scroll down. So let's view here. It interested me enough that now I'm scrolling down across below the fold. You know about the fold on websites where you're supposed to have so much stuff above the line before people have to scroll down. So he got me. He was an entrepreneur, award-winning podcaster, writer, philanthropist, Army veteran. Hey, brother, thank you. We appreciate you. My dad was military police in Las Cruces. So, Dominick, what do you got for us, my friend?
Just want to say thank you so much for having me on the stage. I'm a fan of just about everybody on this stage, and I always enjoy speaking and engaging with all of you. I do want to provide kind of two caveats to this notion, and I promise they're not antithetical to anything that's already been said, but just as a warning. And Tom kind of alluded to it a little bit. I think when we're sharing our story, that it's important for them to be authentic as well, because sometimes it happens to us all, right? In some point, grand or fashion or whatever, right? That we can sometimes get caught in our own grandiose, and sometimes things become so grandiose that they don't become authentic anymore. Prime example, one of the biggest heroes I had was the exec at Frito Lay, who claimed at the time that he created the hot Cheeto. And you hear his story. It's a fascinating story. And then we find out years later that maybe all of that wasn't exactly true. And so in telling our story and as far as like the with the business life and stuff like that, I think that's important to remember. And I think the second point is also that there's a balance. There's definitely a balance, and that the story that we share, that vulnerability, that piece that that allows us to relate to the people we're trying to attract to us, that it doesn't overshadow the entity itself, the business itself. I think another great example of that is Lance Armstrong and Live Strong. He has a fascinating story about beating cancer and the Tour de France and this and the other. But when certain things came out, Live Strong was still able to keep going after that because the entity was strong enough to sustain it, right? And I think there was a great balance of the vulnerability of the story as it relates to the entity or the thing you're trying to put out there and things of that nature. So I think, again, not being antithetical to anybody who said anything up to this stage, but just to add as a warning to people who are listening to the audience and on replays, because I see replays are on, that a balance is extremely important. And also that, don't get caught up in that grandiose, because again, it can happen to the best of us, even when we have the best intentions. Done speaking.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Dominic. And I think, I think to that end, something you posted in the chat actually kind of jumped out at me. And that was, being authentic, right? That authenticity, just being you. I think people, kind of fall into that trap of being grandiose or putting forward an inflated version of themselves when when they try to be somebody they're not, when they're not authentic with who they are, and when they don't authentically share or honestly share the struggles that they encounter, right? And I think that's incredibly important to do. I know for myself that I have first of all, I mean, I am super far from perfect. Um, I definitely have trouble, with certain things. I struggle with certain things. I work hard to overcome those things. I have a hard time focusing sometimes. I'm a huge procrastinator. We all face challenges. And I think often people try to hide those flaws. But those flaws are what make us who we are, right? And that's why it's so important to share them. So I agree. I think important to make sure that you portray yourself honestly, accurately, and authentically, right? So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it. Did you want to
No
did you want
worries.
to add something onto that?
Just real quick, and being consistent. Like when I hear Tom speak, he's consistent about his story. When I hear Dom speak, he's consistent. Same thing with John and radio, very consistent. Dr. Tachi, like all of you guys are extremely consistent. Like the thing is, a lot of times we often see is when we're not being authentic. It's like you try to fit, and I think Prof T said this earlier. We try to match whatever the trendy thing is. Like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. Oh yeah, I can relate to that. And it's so you diverge so far from your original story, we don't know who you are, right? And then that authenticity just kind of goes out the window. So I think that part's important as well. Done speaking.
Dominic, I think you nailed that one. Sometimes I'll be looking at somebody's social that I follow, and then all of a sudden they go political. And I'm like, well, I wasn't expecting that. Or all of a sudden they get angry, or all of a sudden they show me pictures of their legs and things like that. Well, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't need that, and so the consistency where maybe they decided, oh, well, this would get people wound up, or this might get some more views, but that wasn't what I personally expected from them. So your point is Well taken. Hey, I want to say, I got somebody told me in the we're all working on stuff. Let's see, our boy Simon in here, he said allow people to sit in the room for 30 seconds without inviting them up. Appreciate the tip, my friend. I'm working on things myself. We try to be a equal opportunity space, so sometimes maybe I don't know how long you've been in the audience, but appreciate it, and it's probably a good point. If I was looking down at the bottom, I will wait now for over 30 seconds before I invite somebody up. So got it. See, I'm working me up. Okay. Isaac, we got Isaac and then our friend Jess. Okay, Isaac, what's going on with you, man? Where do you weigh in? You got a tip, you got a question, you got a bunch of experts here. I think that's where we're at. Is that right, Tom?
We're up to Wally, yeah.
Okay, we're up to Wally. Wally, give us a tip, man. You chimed in before, but give us a tip, ask a question. What do you got, Wally?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Great conversation here. Great conversation, man. I had so many things to say, but they all went in different directions. So I'm gonna lead off with the last thing. The whole part of being authentic, the whole authenticity thing. I mean, it's so important. When you're authentic and when you're being authentic, it allows you to be you easily, right? Um, you don't have to make things up. You don't have to cover tracks. You don't have to do any of that stuff, And like for me, like when I first started doing public speaking, right? I'm actually not even. I don't even consider myself a public speaker, although by the technical term I am. But my first public speech was a TEDx talk. I've never done a public speech in my life. I didn't even know how to do one. I had no idea how I was doing. But I'm authentic. My story is authentic. I know my story, right? So I was able to do the TEDx talk, right? And then after, I got offered to do a corporate talk to a company called Reckitt, which is a huge conglomerate. They do Lysol, Mucinex. This is like a huge gig, right? Definitely not for someone like me, right? I mean, I'm not, I've done one speech in my life, and I'm gonna talk to 150 sales execs, right? What the hell am I gonna say to 150 sales execs? I've never been in the sales industry. I've never done any of that stuff, right? I don't use big vocabulary. I don't use any of that stuff. What the hell is someone like me gonna go and tell 150 top Excel execs at a conglomerate, right? And when they asked me to do that, that's what I had in my head. I was like, "What are you crazy? You sure you got the right person here?" Okay, I do have a New York Times article, but I'm not the guy for this job. But one thing about me is that I will try everything because I'm a pro athlete and I can get through anything. I can get through anything. I know I can do it. And just by being authentic, right? I didn't have to be someone else. I didn't have to pretend like I knew sales. I didn't have to pretend like I had this huge vocabulary to wow the people. And, no, I was just myself. I told my story, which is inspirational, motivational to anyone. Doesn't matter if you're in sales or whatever you're in. And I was able to give such an incredible impact to people of something that I'm not even into or that I have zero knowledge about. And so, at the end of the day, being authentic makes life easier for you and everyone else around you. So yeah, I'll leave you with that thought. My name is Wally, done speaking.
Hey, Wally's got guts. And Wally, if you would, I've been watching some of your clips from the TED Talk. Would you give us your how you finished that TED Talk, if you would?
It's funny. Um, so I left it off with let me leave you with one final thought. Bees don't waste their time explaining to flies why honey is better than shit. So just remember that the next time someone tries to destroy your dreams. But you know what? I saw that on somebody's thing recently. It's going around. It's going around.
No, I just thought it was classic being as authentic as can be. Here's the biggest moment. He's up on this TED stage and he's going to tell you about flies and shit, man. And look, it came and he's in New York Times articles and corporations are paying him big bucks to speak. So keep us posted, man. We're enjoying your journey. All right, let's go. We're good. Okay, we're reset. We should reset. Boss, what do you want to add? I see you clap there for a sec. Go on.
Yes, on Wally Green's note of authenticity, I have a question for anyone who'd like to give their input. So, for me, part of being authentic is just sticking true to what resonates with you, what you like to do. And at the same time, I know the importance of using tools to get ahead in business and to build brand awareness. And so this is a specific question. A lot of people are saying, you need to go on TikTok and do ABC on TikTok. And for example, people will pick some sort of audio recording and then kind of mime whatever they want to communicate on top of the audio recording. And I'm entertained by them, but as more and more people are doing those, I've lost a lot of interest. I'm like, oh, someone else is doing this again. It's not new to me. So my question is, how do people have to, jump on the hot trending stuff to build their brand awareness, or can they is it okay to kind of stick to one or a few things that you resonate most with and run with that and focus on that and build that? Just a question. Thank you.
I mean, thanks for that question, boss lady. I think for my 2 cents are, if the trend, you should never do anything just for the sake of doing it, right? Everything you do should be intentional. Building your business, building your brand awareness, all of those movements that you make, the things that you do in service of those goals should always be intentional, right? So you should always ask yourself, does this help me? Right? And if the answer is, well, it might because I heard from someone that, then probably not, right? Is the answer I would give. Like, it probably doesn't actually help you. You probably shouldn't do it. If the intention behind what you're doing is simply to do it for the sake of doing it because you heard that you should do it, then maybe you need to reevaluate the motivation there, right? Don't follow a trend just because it seems popular. Do something that is authentic to you, your business, and the goals that you want to achieve and the audience that you want to attract, right? So yeah, I mean, I think people fall into this trap of, like, you have to get followers for the sake of getting followers, right? You have to boost your numbers for the sake of boosting your numbers. And actually, big brands and businesses that look to do strategic partnerships with people on social media are now seeing through the hype, right? They're seeing through how overhyped that has become, that actually people who have small audiences that are very engaged with them are better partners for them than big influencers with huge audiences that are very disengaged, right? So you're always better off. It's quality over quantity, right? So don't fall into the quantity trap. It's really easy to get caught up in that. Like, how many views did I get? How many followers did I gain? Am I adding enough followers every day? Like, am I doing this? Like, am I following the right trends? And just get caught up. Then all you're doing is posting on social media for the sake of garnering a social media following that probably isn't going to help you in the long run, right? So try to do work that attracts an audience that resonates with you in your business, that is aligned with you in your business, and that is authentic to who you are and what you represent. that's always going to serve you better than just following a trend, in my humble opinion. But anybody else can chime in if they agree or disagree.
Go on,
Yeah,
Wally, and then I think Dominic had something.
yeah,
So
I
go on,
agree.
Wally.
I agree with Tom 150%. I'm on TikTok. I actually do a TikTok masterclass on Clubhouse with a bunch of other people, and you'll hear a lot of this. Follow the trends, use popular music. Listen, I've done the opposite of what everyone said, and I've done it on purpose to actually prove a point that one, you don't need to follow trends. Two, you don't need to use trendy music. I have one of the most niche account that you can have. And when I made my account, I was very intentional. And this is going to shock you. My intention was I want followers who are not into my niche. I'll say it again. I want followers who are not into my niche, right? For me to get followers in my niche is so easy. I'm a world class table tennis player. I've played in every major country in the world. So to get followers to follow me, that's easy. But I don't want those followers. I want people who are not into my sport. How do you grow the sport? Not by the people who are in it, by the people who are not in it and know nothing about it. And I was very intentional. I've been on TikTok about a year and 2 months. I have over 86K followers and a community of people, right? I've never used a trendy music. I've never used a trendy sound. I've never used a trend. Maybe I've done one trend and that's just describing who I was. But I don't do any trendy stuff. Everything I do is my original content. It's authentic to me. I live what I do what I love, and that's what I post every day. There's always going to be people who want to see what you post. There's an audience for every single thing in this world. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't use a trend, but use a trend if it warrants it, if it fits it. Use a song if it actually fits your video, not because this is the song everyone's using, because I guarantee you won't go viral that way. I'll tell you right now, it will not work, right? So if there's a trendy song and it fits your video or it fits your motivations and your ideas, then okay, use it. But don't use it just because everyone else is using it, because I promise you it will not work. So I just want to leave you guys with that.
Hi,
Wally,
can I?
hold on one sec. Let me reset. Who we got? We got we're
Let's
gonna
say,
go Lindsay, go ahead, then Johnny. Go ahead.
okay, good morning. First of all, thank you for this room. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to chime in on what Wiley was saying. I've been on TikTok now, I guess maybe 2 or 3 years because I dance and sing. And I guess when it first got started, that's what everybody was kind of doing, dancing and singing. So, but anyway, I wasn't one to follow trends at all. Honestly, I've been too busy to even pay attention to trends. But long story short, I guess it's been about a month now, because I'm in the Clubhouse rooms. I'm doing research, listening to the social medias, how to become successful, how to gain more followers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the one thing that always kept coming up was to follow trends. But I'm a singer songwriter. I write my own songs, so I'm like, I have no reason to use somebody else's music. Well, so I finally said, let me do what the experts say to do. So I actually included some trending music in a video that was so it was nothing. It was me in the kitchen cooking some steak, but I wasn't in the video at all. It was just on the stove showing the steak. And this video, I mean, I normally get maybe about 300 views. This video got like 700 views, and I'm trying to figure out, wait a minute, what's going on here? So it didn't dawn on me that I had, used this trending music. So then I posted another video that also had a trending song in it, and the numbers went up over 700. Well, this is what really did it for me. The last video that I did, I saw this video jump from maybe 300 views to maybe 800 in like 15 minutes. It now has over 2,000 views. That has never happened for me, and that was because I used trending music. And so I was all excited and everything. I'm like, okay, so I finally listened. And now I kind of felt like I knew the format, the formula to get more views and followers. And of course, my followers were increasing as well. But also what happened, because now I'm all excited, I'm feeling good. I learned the system and I know what to do. Well, right after that, and also I was using the FYP. So I thought the FYP, the For Your Page was the main thing also. But then I posted a video, like 2 videos right after that, like maybe a couple of days after this video received over 2,000 views, and it got like 10 views. Okay, I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? Then the next one got like maybe 20 views. So it really just killed my spirit, honestly. I'm just being honest. It killed my spirit. I'm like, oh my gosh. I went from 2,000 to 10 to 20 views. I mean, now it's been a couple of weeks. So it's now like maybe 100 or 200 views. But I'm saying initially, the trending music worked. The videos that I posted after didn't have trending music that got the 10 views or whatever. So, so I just wanted to chime in on that. And honestly, I've been apprehensive to post since then, since the 2000 and the 2 videos that I posted after, because it was, to me, I was a little embarrassed, and it just really just messed up, just upset my soul and upset my spirit. So I just wanted to chime in on that the trending music worked for me. And then they said they changed the algorithm, and then that's why the views uh were low and still low. So just wanted to share that.
Well,
Hold,
Sorry.
Dominic,
hold on. Let me clear. Let me get. We're gonna go to Johnny. Johnny was early chimer before, so we got Johnny then Tom. Go on.
so let me chime in on this. Yes, it's true that following trends can get you views and likes, but following trends means that you will always have to follow trends to maintain that level of emotional dopamine, because that's all it is. It's a vanity metric, because those people who watch your video because you used a trending song that the algorithm promotes, they're not watching for you, they're watching for that song. And when you chase trends, you will always have to chase trends. You will be a hamster on a wheel going round and around getting nowhere. So do you, be uniquely you. And if you only get 200 views on your video, those are 200 people who showed up for you. And let me put this in perspective for everybody listening. You don't know me. I've been a live entertainer for 40 years. I've toured the country with my original Broadway musical for 10 years. I've performed in theaters that sat 100 people and theaters that sat 1,000. And I produced off Broadway in a theater that only sat 50 people. Well, guess what? We sold out those 50 seats 4 nights in a row during that run. That means I have a sold out hit show off Broadway. There, if 50 people showed up at my house, I couldn't hold them all. If 20 people showed up at your office, you wouldn't have enough room for them. So don't get caught in the trap of these vanity metrics. You want people who are actually showing up for you authentically. Those are your customers. That is your audience. That is your community. I'm Johnny. I'm done. Ta-da!
Well said, John. Go
Thanks,
on, Tom.
Johnny. Yeah,
Awesome
I
point,
mean,
Johnny.
I was right on the same page with Johnny there, and that's actually, I kind of wanted to jump in. I just want to add a little bit to what he said. And that is, I 100% agree. Views, likes, whatever are definitely vanity metrics. So the question is, at the end of the day, like the question you should be asking yourself um, is why am I doing this, right? Why am I here? Why am I posting this? Why am I sharing it? What's the goal behind it? What's my intention? And then on top of that, am I doing it for or what do those vanity metrics achieve? Whose interest are they in, right? And the idea behind what Johnny's saying, like the thing behind what Johnny's saying is when you're chasing trends, you're always going to be chasing trends. Well, what does that mean, right? What is the outcome of that? Like the overarching, like if you take a step back and you look at it, what's the outcome? The outcome is you spend more time on the app chasing trends, right? And who does that benefit? The app, right? The whole goal of all social media apps is to get you to spend as much time as possible on the app. That's what all of their algorithms are designed to do. They twist and change and adapt them and adjust them over time to try to maximize that. But the end goal for all social media enterprises, because at the end of the day, they're in the business of selling advertising. The end goal is for them to get you to spend as much time as possible on the app. And the way they do that is providing people with useless, meaningless vanity metrics like likes and followers, right? To try to get them to stay on. So they give you a little taste, right? They give you some more views when you use a piece of trending music, but then they'll take those views away. So you got to chase them, right? And so all they're doing is they're just feeding you those little dopamine hits like Johnny was talking about. They're just feeding you those little doses saying, here, come on, just stick around. I'll give you a little bit more. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just stick around. I'll give you a little bit more, right? So just always ask yourself, why are you there? Why are you showing up? What is the goal behind it? How does it serve your community for you to create that content, right? And the answer to that question is never going to be it gets me more followers and more likes, right? So just make sure you're showing up for your community and creating content that is authentic to you, your brand, and delivers value to people, and you'll be just fine. The number of views won't matter. That's all. I just wanted to add that.
May I?
May I
Go,
I'm
add to
sorry.
go.
that?
Hold on. Go. We'll go. Dr. Tachi, go on.
Yeah. So two quick things. I put in the chat that there's also a problem with using something that's trending, especially if you're using a song. Sometimes the licensing will not be right and that song goes away. So now you have this song that not only TikTok or Instagram removes, but if you were talking, it removes that sound too. And now you have a video with no sound that makes no sense in the grand scheme of anything. And you probably put your heart and soul into that, and now it's gone. And this even happens to people with their own music. I've seen that happen on TikTok and on Instagram. So that's one thing about trends. I always tell people I'd much rather see you use a piece of something that you created or that is royalty free, that is not going to be problematic because you spent time to do that. Secondly, you go viral. Now what? That's great. Congratulations. Is that going to do anything, as you've all been saying, in the grand scheme of things? Does that get more people to your website? Does that get people to know more people what you do, or does it only stay within app on because of the song that you use? So my thing is, if you have virality, sorry, whatever the term is, you have virality. So what then does that mean in the grand scheme of things? How are you going to get those people over to drive them to some place that you either actually own or that benefits you? And in some cases you can't because they didn't come there for you, as Johnny said. So the whole thing is, what does going viral actually mean in the grand scheme of things? Does it benefit you in any way, or is it, as we've been saying, a vanity metric that makes you feel good because a bunch of people watch it? If it's the latter, then if your only goal is to go viral, then do you, boo boo. But if it is to actually have meaningful connections with other people, then that's not the way to think about it at all. So just wanted to say those two things.
I just wanted to add to that. When I was hearing Liz say, I give her a version of what happened, all I could think was when you walk in your purpose, you stay in alignment. And that goes back to authenticity. I heard you say you were a singer. So I was wondering why you were doing a video about steaks. And I'm like, well, how does that present your talent? I want to hear you. I want to know who you are. You would be the person that when I come on TikTok as an authentic creator, I might want to use your song for something that related to what I was doing. So I think it goes back to always be yourself. And those people who are meant to jump on board, they know what train to hop on. Those people who are not part of the program, then they won't be part of the program. But it goes back to what everyone else was saying about just sticking to what you love, what you enjoy, walk in your purpose. I can tell you that when I worked for other people, I did not enjoy working for other people, but I enjoyed the people that I serviced. So I felt the need to keep those things separate. I worked with victims of abuse. I worked with people, dealing with domestic violence. So there were confidentiality contracts in place. So I had to keep my personal life separate from what I did with my own business, right? But now I'm walking in my purpose. I'm doing what I enjoy and what I love. And that is encouraging people to travel to the continent. All of my content that I create is about Africa. That is all I do. My podcast, my radio show, my YouTube channel, everything is about travel to Africa to negate the stereotypes. I live here now, so I'm not just telling people what to do. I am living this amazing life. And I want everyone to have that feeling. And people who want to see what I'm talking about, those will be the people that follow me. And those people that are wondering about an amazing vacation place, guess what? Africa is that place when you've been told otherwise. So I stick to what I know. I walk in my purpose. My life has never been better. And I wish that for everyone. Never stray to the side because of what everyone else is doing, right? We know that many will be many will go, but few will be chosen. I think that is our role as creators to step up, take the lead, and prepare people for what they're not aware of. I relinquish the mic.
Andrea, thank you. And I'm going to jump in here and just defend Lindsay before we go off the rails. And I'm a guy that if I'm showing you, I admitted earlier that I might want to show the world that I don't have two heads, that you might see me out smoking in my smoker out in back of my house. You might see me out running a race. You might see me out the other day I went to the rodeo. The other day I'm in New York City, whatever. I'll share all those kind of things. And that's just me sharing my journey. So Lindsay making a steak, although she's although she's a singer, maybe I want to see every once in a while, oh, what'd she eat? That's interesting to me. Like early on, Prof T showing us that about her hair, getting her hair dyed or something like that. She took back the curtain a little bit and shared this part of her life. Oh, that's interesting. Like you walking down the street in Africa. I've never been to Africa, so I would love to know on what's this street like? What's this view look like? What's this look like? So I think pulling back the curtains all right a little bit. And Johnny, you saying about following the trends there, man, that was such a astute thing. If you're chasing the trend, you're always going to be following the trend. But
Well, yeah, you're always going to be chasing an unattainable goal. But here's the thing: I want to defend Lindsay too,
yeah,
because I wasn't getting on her. I was preaching that message not just for her, but for myself too, because I get it. I'm an entertainer. I'm a storyteller. I'm a performer, and you know, my goal is to entertain the world one story at a time, one audience at a time, and I'm always looking to have a bigger, better audience to sell more tickets. And, it can be really depressing. It can be crushing when you invest your heart and your soul and your talent and everything you have into creating a piece of content, and it gets a handful of fans reacting with it. And then you do a reel or a TikTok that's it's insipid and it's silly and it's not even your music, not even your content. You're just following the trend, and all of a sudden it spikes and it goes viral, and you get that dopamine hit. But then you look back at what you did, and it didn't have that reaction, and that can just crush you. You're like, what am I doing wrong? And the answer is you're not doing anything wrong. The answer is that that viral video is being pushed by an algorithm that is driven by artificial intelligence, that it is following trends, and it is chasing that hamster wheel itself. And so anyway, Lindsay, in your defense, I get it, and I don't want you to hear the wrong message, and I don't want you to think that I was jumping on you. I was preaching for myself as well. I'm
Yeah.
Johnny. I'm done. Ta-da.
And we all do. I get the ones, I get the fives, I get the tens and my views sometimes. And then the other day I post something and I used a different caption, and Tom, you nailed it. I used a different caption form the other day and it got 1,000 times the views. Really, got 1,000 times the views. But now that Tom clearly said it, they gave me the dopamine. They gave it to me, and it wasn't. It was because I used one more thing on their app that they gave it to me. But Wally, I'm going to give you a shout out here, Lindsay. Wally says sometimes you should post all the videos like 3 times. Wally, you want to give us your example on that? No, go on.
Yes, yes. So the most important thing at the end of the day is your content. I don't care about your music. I don't care. Is your content. If you can have the best music in the world, if you have shitty content, I'm just gonna scroll past it and not even care. So if the content is not doing well, you have to look at it and say, what could be better with this content? You know, I've had that problem too. I have video as high as 10.6 million, 9.9 million, 5 million, 3 million, 1 million. And I also have videos that are 10,000, 5,000, right? And then I look at those videos and I say, okay, what can I do better? So what I like to do is I have a thing where I'll try to post it 3 times, and I'll just work on it. And the reason I do this is because I do teach a master class. So I do it just to see how the algorithm's working and stuff like that. So what I like to do is, let's say I have a video. Maybe I post this video. This video was, let's say, 20 seconds. And I say, okay, this video didn't really do well. I'll look at it over. Maybe this video was too long, right? Maybe it's too long. Maybe people attention span, maybe they liked it up to 10 seconds. All right, let me cut it. I'll cut the video, maybe add something different, change it, and see what happened. I've had videos that started off at 5,000, went up to 60,000 to 100K. It's the same exact video. The only thing was, I just figured out, what could I do better? Why is this video not performing? Why is my other video have 1 million and this one has 5,000, right? So you always got to look at your content. Your content, your content, your content, what you're putting out, and always figure out what could you have done better. Everything is not for everyone, right? We all like to think that, yeah, I made so many times, I've done it. I'm gonna make this really cool video and it's gonna freaking blow up, and it didn't blow up, right? Maybe it didn't blow up because maybe people actually didn't like it. Maybe I liked my video more than the rest of the community, right? So just always look at your videos, figure out, if a video is not doing well, what could you have done better? Look at your other videos. Why did this video get 1 million views? Why did this video didn't? And then you try to figure it out, and always try to recreate. Don't throw away. A lot of times people make something and it didn't do well, and that's the end of the video. No, it's not the end. You can go back to that video. If it's something that you're passionate about, like someone mentioned before, if it's something that you're passionate about, repost the video, right? Figure another way of how you can connect people to that video. How people can look at that video and say, oh yeah, man, I really like this. Oh wow, that's really interesting. Oh wow, I learned something today, right? And that's what you should do. I mean, I do it a lot. I like, for me it's 3. Everyone doesn't have to do that. I just like to do that for videos not performing well. I always like to give it 3 chances, and that's just because I do a lot of teaching about TikTok. So I like to just I don't just like a lot of people who teach. They just talk. I actually do it. I don't. At the end of the day, my social media doesn't make me. I make me.
Hey,
Right. So
Wally, let's
yeah.
give us clarify something. So when you say you use it 3 times, are you waiting 9 videos and then sharing that again with like maybe
No.
captions on, or no, you're going
No,
back to
no.
back with them?
Sometimes I'll do it. Let's say today it didn't do well, right? And I'll say, okay, this video didn't do well. I'm gonna post this video tomorrow, but I'm gonna edit it. I'm gonna re-edit. I'm gonna change something, maybe add something, maybe take something out, and let's see. Oh, it didn't do good the next day. Okay, I'll try one more time. And if it doesn't do good, then maybe it wasn't a good video. Maybe only I thought it was a good video. And that happens to us. We all believe that our stuff that we create is the best, right? And we all think everything we do is great, but it's not what we think. It's what the people who are watching think. How do you stop the scroll, right? People mindlessly scroll through TikTok videos. Did that what When you look at that video, does that video make you want to stop? Why should I stop scrolling and click on your video? Those are questions you have to ask yourself. What in that video would make me stop to click on yours and not just scroll past it? Like, these are important things that you have to ask yourself when a video doesn't do well. Anyway, just wanted to share that. It's always fun talking about TikTok. I can talk about TikTok for days because I actually experiment on my account. Like, I don't care. I don't care about the algorithm, stuff like that. I do a lot of experiments on my account so that, I live what I teach, right? I don't just teach. A lot of people who just teach stuff, they won't dare experiment on their account because they feel the algorithm is going to be mean to them and they're going to get lower views. I frankly don't care. I do it anyway so that, you know, I actually know what I'm talking about. But yeah, but that's it. We can talk TikTok all day. Don't want to take up the room for a TikTok room because that's not what this is. But yeah.
Hey, you never know where we're going to go. So we appreciate it, man. That's
Yeah,
good
anytime.
stuff, man. So, and I enjoy, check out Wally's stuff everywhere he's at. Okay, we got Isaac, Jess, and Andrea, I think. So, Isaac, what do you got for us? You heard what we've been talking about. Do your thing, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And it's great to be in a room full of so many experts and so many topics. I already feel like I've learned something. What I would love to talk about is a topic that came up about your authentic self and, whether that is one thing or many things. I think for me, that's been interesting because if you ask, any of my friends, I have these two passions, the startup space and venture capital. And then on the other hand, community impact and government and politics. And I think it's really funny because, my authentic self involves inherently holding a tension between, startups and politics, which are two very different things. And I think the way that I've sort of decided to unify those is that I think it takes a very similar mindset to do either of those things. You have to look at the world and kind of say, what can be done better? So at least that's the way that I think about it, is sort of thinking, even if I have to hold this tension to be my authentic self, like what is the thing that unifies them?
There you go. Good one, brother. And sometimes I wanted to talk about this earlier. I have this belief that if you have a goal to be the best, maybe I have a goal to be the best rec baseball coach of all time. Maybe dad wasn't there for me, and I want to be the best rec baseball coach that I could possibly. Maybe that's even my goal in life, to be the best rec baseball coach. I'm talking line the fields. I'm talking take the kids for ice cream afterwards. I'm talking be there early, give them rides, whatever that entails. My point being is that might not be the job, that might never be your career, but you at the end of the day lay your head down on the pillow because you were able to follow your passion and you were able to be the best youth baseball coach there was. So I think sometimes people get so caught up in this world of my job has to be my passion. That's great. But what if your job provides for your passion? What if it provides, what if it's fund, what if you want to support animal shelters and a job gives you the time and the money to donate and to get there at a certain time of day? So I think you can to Isaac's point, serve two. I hate to say it, you can serve two masters in a way. I know when I say that, people are going to be like, no, you can't. But in one case, one thing is a means to an end. One thing helps the other and lets him live a fulfilled life. And I think that's something we should celebrate. So,
Can I follow that up, Dominic?
yeah, go ahead, Isaac.
Yeah, I think what it's taught me, to your point, is, everyone in Clubhouse, has 5+ things in their bio, is a really, I almost feel like almost everyone here is a Renaissance person interested in so many different topics. And I'm sure you guys can relate to this. It really teaches you how to manage your life and design your life. So it's kind of like, what are you doing 9 to 5? What are you doing on the side? What media platform are you creating? What audience are you creating? And how do you kind of manage that universe? And so I would love to kind of ask you guys, what lessons have you learned from that? I'm currently trying to start a podcast to unify my interests, and it kind of focuses on people creating change in their communities, activists. And I would just love to hear from you guys how you kind of have designed your lives.
Let's lead off. And I want to go, Dr. Tachi, I'm going to talk slowly to prepare you for this. But if you wanted to answer this question, go at it. Then we'll go to Andrea.
Okay, sorry. Can you repeat the last part of your question again in terms of designing your life, Isaac?
Yeah, I think the question kind of centers around, you have all these interests. How do you design your life, literally down to the hours in the day to accommodate all those interests?
Oh, that's great. That's great. So if I'm talking about me, I think scheduling has a lot to do with it. It seems like maybe really simple, but scheduling has a lot to do with it. Making the time for the things you want to do. And it's interesting you talk about this. There's a friend of mine who's been doing a challenge, a more time challenge this entire week. So every morning at 7 a.m., she does a live stream, and all these things are designed to give you more time, right? In terms of designing the life that you want to have. So part of that is scheduling. And she said to create a template schedule, meaning you have things that are standing that you do that are important to you or that you have to do each week, and other things fit around those. So, if, for example, it is important every week that on Wednesdays well, for example, I have a show every Wednesday. So everything on Wednesday centers and hinges around that. I fit things around preparation for the show, etc. So it's something that I love to do. It's something that I want to do. And so I schedule that into my life as something that's important and that's a non-negotiable, right? It's like, I'm sorry, on Wednesdays at from 5 to 7, I'm on the air. So nothing can take place at that time. So for me, it's about scheduling those things. And as my friend Shay said, designing a template schedule, and all other things fit around the things that are important to you or must be done. So hopefully that answers your question.
Boss, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I love what Dr. Chachi just said, and a way to have accountability measures to use to make sure you're following your schedule is maybe even just choosing one or more of the following. So, the duration of how long you'll do something, and the frequency of how long you'll do something. And I'm forgetting the third one right now, but so you could choose to do something daily, which is the frequency, and then add a duration measurement on that. So, am I going to do this daily for 30 minutes, less or more, and kind of stick to that? Or, yeah, and the third measure is interval. So maybe every other day, I'm going to do something for X amount of time and stick to that, and see how consistent I can do with either the interval, the frequency, or the duration. And so when I teach piano to students who have challenges with practicing, I say, let's first build the habit of practice. So let's focus on the frequency and the duration. So frequency, every day, you're going to just touch the piano, set the timer for 5 minutes. You can at least do 5 minutes. And what happens is it's going to go by so fast that most times you're going to be in the zone and you want to continue, or maybe you just really didn't want to play piano that day, so you let it go, but at least you got in the habit of practicing and touching the piano. And so starting with the habit first and the frequency, even the small duration, and then building from there.
I completely agree. And, I love your example of the piano. That was actually the first instrument I learned as a kid. And I think another great outlet for learning the art of practice, in addition to, I think instruments is a great one. But I found that physical exercise has been amazing for teaching the habit of practice because, it's so kind of effort in, results out. Whether you're rich or poor, you're either doing the push-ups or you're not. And I think it's a great equalizer in many ways and really teaches, if you do something for days, weeks, months, and then it goes into years, it's just biology. You do see results. And I think that, at least for me, has taught me the art of practice. I love what you're saying.
I just wanted to jump in. Boss, that I love that. I actually put that in quotes, build a habit of practice. And for the doctor, I actually sent you a back message about this class you were talking about, the room for time. So, Isaac, to answer your question, I have to tell you, I am nothing like these two ladies. I'm not that organized. For me, I know that I have commitments, and those commitments are etched in my mind to do. There's no forgetting them. Outside of that, I am the type of creative that ideas pop into my head all the time. I think if I were to be diagnosed, they'd probably say I was an ADHD adult. So here on the continent, my schedule is mine. So when I do something until I get bored, that's how I work. So I create jewelry, I design clothes, I write e-courses, I write e-books. I have a radio show that I do every Tuesday and Thursday in Philadelphia, although I'm on the continent. I have my podcast and I have my YouTube channel, but I don't feel any pressure to do those things because I am doing what I enjoy doing. So there are times when I just say, you know what? I have a bunch of content that I haven't published on my podcast. Now it's time to put it out. So I tend to really go at things all at once. And then when I'm ready to release it, it seems like I've been doing it weekly when in fact it was just all stored up. Right. So that's how I work. And I know that doesn't work for everyone, but I think it's just another way. And so it was cool to hear what everyone else has to say about their schedules because it works. It all works. You just have to really dig out what works for you. I relinquish the mic.
Thank you, Andrea. And you almost wrapped it. You almost brought us full circle because early today we were talking about our first. We started talking about Calendly and saving time and some of the things we picked up in this room and tips like that, and which helps scheduling and things. Isaac, back channel me. I want to talk about some of your nonprofit work. That's good stuff. Andrea, you got yourself a new follower. I'm appreciative of you being here. I forget where I was going to go with all this, but okay, now we have our main man, the failure guy. Ben, what's going on, brother? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just here to show support. I don't really have any questions or insights, but I do like everything that everyone's saying. For me, release-wise, I'm the kind of guy who does the project the night before it's due, so I usually am doing my podcast editing the day before. So,
Hey, I wanted to, Ben. I appreciate your support, and it's nice to have you back on the app. Ben's got a great podcast, the Failure Guy podcast, and it he really puts time into the interviews and to the questions he's asking. Great guy, David. Ben, you guys need to connect if you haven't. So, hey, I wanted to say, for me, to Isaac's question, I believe I am a person who tries to never be off message. in meaning, even in my daily, even in my life, if you see me like this weekend, I'm swimming a mile. I'm not Tom's level. I'm swimming a mile. And so I've been practicing this summer. I've been running, stuff like that. I've never swam a mile. I'm not a great swimmer. I'm going to swim. Uh, I don't even know the stroke I use, breaststroke most of the time. But I'm putting myself out there. That's what you'll see. And it is not off mission. So it's persistence. It's telling your story. It's that kind of thing. So if you see me doing nonprofit work, well, that's trying to share inspiration, trying to share smiles. My mission, I always say, is to share inspiration, positivity, and smiles and help other people do the same. So if I'm doing anything that shares inspiration, shares smiles, helps other people share their mission, share smiles, then I think I'm on mission and I'm on a given day. Okay, that works. That works. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. If all of a sudden I'm doing something that isn't to that effect, well, then I'm like, wait a minute, this is off course. This is too much about this, or that. And that's how I try to keep on track. Now, could I use tools like we talked about Google Alerts that saves time, how TikTok so that your videos get seen more, so that your message gets seen? Absolutely. But I try to always be on mission. That's what I would leave with, Tom. So, Tom, what do you got? I think we hit everybody. Lindsay, Andrea, Isaac, Wally Green, Doctor, Dominic, Boss, our boy David. What else do we got to do, Tom?
I mean, we did hit everybody. I got two things in the chat that I want to address real quick before we wrap up today.
Is it hate mail?
No, it's not hate. It's in the chat. It's in the chat. It's not
Okay,
hate
okay.
mail.
I'm gonna look. Go on.
So one is our good friend Jemmy just posted in the chat, and she was talking about being shocked that automatic calendars, i.e., Calendly, and apps like that, can really turn some people off. I personally I've been using Calendly for a couple of years. I don't know if you mentioned, um, when I talked about it in here, I think, right? And that's how you ended up using it, or you and I talked about it at some point. I don't know if it was in this room, but you and I talked about it, and then you started using it also. And I think it's been probably one of the best things that I've invested in as a business in terms of just getting meetings set, right? Just getting meetings on my calendar. It is amazing how powerful it is when you can simply send somebody a link and they can pick a time that's convenient for them, and you take out, you remove those like 7 emails back and forth trying to pick a time, right, to meet. So I found it incredibly beneficial. I have had one person reply back and refuse to use my Calendly link and say, I don't like it when people literally said in their email, I don't like it when people send me links, right? But that's one person out of, I don't know how many hundreds of people I've sent that link to, and how many hundreds of people have set meetings with me using those Calendly links. So like, am I going to stop using Calendly because one person didn't like it? Absolutely not. I think what it says to me is, or just reminds me of, is you can't make everybody happy all the time, and so you shouldn't try to. Right? There's always going to be somebody who doesn't like something you do or say, or the way you do or say something. Right? So if there's one person that doesn't like it, then they're an outlier, and you don't reconfigure how you do everything because one outlier didn't like it or didn't align with it, right? So I just wanted to share that story. But yeah. Jemmy said she's happy to hop up and add some clarity. I'm actually curious to hear what she has to say, because she said she adjusted her approach.
And I miss producer Jimmy. So if she's
So
anybody in this clubhouse, if you have a chance to follow producer Jimmy, do it. She's the best. She adds joy to my life when I see her videos. So if she wants to add clarity, where's she at? Let's see.
I just hit invite. There
I'm
she
There she
is.
is.
here.
So let's set the bar bigger.
Hooray!
Ta-da! She's beautiful. She's lovely. Her voice is like angels landing on your shoulder, and well, and
So,
there's so much more I can't even.
so
No
Jimmy, what's this?
pressure.
What's this tiny tweak you made? What's this tiny tweak? I'm super curious.
So yeah, I was thinking exactly like you, Tom. I was like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. These automatic schedulers for all the reasons you mentioned. I was like, thank you for coming into my life. But when I heard that rant, I was like, okay, I'm gonna what could, because it could be that some people aren't as vocal as that one person. So I thought, what could be because I agree with you. You don't change everything just because of one outlier. So the tiny tweak that I made in my emails now, I'll say, please feel free to suggest 2 or 3 options that work for you for me to choose from. Or, if preferred, just feel free to find something that's convenient for you on my calendar. That way, for everybody, it's an option. So I still include the calendar link, but I say, I kind of slide it in that they don't have to use it. So that's the slight tweak. But even so, most of the time they still do use it. But for me, it feels a little bit like I know I'm not taking anybody off. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you, Tom.
No, love that, and actually, you know what? I'm glad you said that because I actually do something very similar. I'm gonna actually look real quick for an email, an intro email in here in my sent stuff. I don't know if I've got one convenient. But anyway, what I was gonna look for was the exact phrasing that I use because it's almost always the same. But essentially, what I say is like, for your convenience, here's a link so you can pick a time on my calendar that's convenient for you. Alternatively, please feel free to send me some times that you're available. So I do give people that option now. I did actually make a very similar tweak to what you're talking about, Jemmy. But yeah, most of the time they go, oh, there's a link I can just click and pick a time, done. Right? The vast majority of people, in fact, since I've started doing that, I still haven't had anybody reply back with times. They've all just clicked the link, right? Because again, it's just about lowering that barrier to entry, right? How simple can you make it? How few steps can it be for somebody to just accomplish a task? And if you can take 6 steps out of accomplishing the same task, people are much more likely to do it, right? You're just making the path shorter and easier for them to cover. And so it makes a ton of sense. The other thing I wanted to address real quick, and unfortunately, Dominic had to jump out of the room, but it's something he posted, Dominic Lawson posted in the chat as well, was talking about how he hears from people all the time that you have to get your podcast on video. You have to get your show on video. You have to get your show on video. And I wanted to address that because I believe you don't have to, but I believe that if you are recording a podcast, you should also record video. And for most people, it's literally as simple as clicking a button because for most people, if you're doing podcast interviews, you're doing them remotely and you're doing them over Zoom or using StreamYard or Restream or any of these other web-based platforms, right, to conduct your interviews. And if you're doing that, all you have to do is hit the record button during the interview, or actually use the video that you're already recording because you're recording the interview with audio and video as you're producing your podcast. So I think it's something you should do because, and here's the real key to it, the reason why is you will reach different audiences on audio only platforms versus video platforms, right? And that's why we live stream this, right? Because it gives us the opportunity to bring this room to more people on different platforms because Clubhouse isn't for everyone, just like YouTube isn't for everyone, right? There are going to be people on Clubhouse who love the audio only format who are never going to be YouTube creators, right? And there are YouTube creators who are never going to really be active on Clubhouse because they want to use video. So I think it makes sense to broaden your audience, right? To reach a new audience and people that your audio only podcast wouldn't necessarily reach. So should you? I think yes. Do you have to? Absolutely not. Like at the end of the day, do you? If it's not authentic to you, if and especially if you're not comfortable showing yourself on camera, if you're not comfortable putting yourself in front of an audience on camera, and it degrades the quality of your interviews, if it negatively affects the quality of the conversations you're having on your podcast, then yeah, don't put it out on video. That's totally okay. So it's not a question of have to. It should if you can, if it makes sense for you, right? So I just wanted to address that too. You can focus on high quality audio only. There are lots of podcasts that are out there that are successful audio only, but there are lots of podcasts that are successful on video platforms and on audio platforms. And so I think it's something you should always consider, especially when it's as easy as just hitting record. So that's something I wanted to share, just to address a couple of things in the chat there. But yeah, sorry I was a little bit late this morning. Like I said, I was getting in a ride, believe it or not. I went out on a walk yesterday. This morning I went on my first bike ride since the Ironman. So legs are feeling pretty good. Still a little bit sore, which is totally to be expected, but feeling pretty good. And excited for my next challenge, which I haven't said out loud. I'm going to post a video about it later today. But I'll go ahead and give you guys for being in the room here and with us, especially since most of the folks in here are folks that are here all the time and are very supportive of us. I'll share with you guys first what the next challenge is. So the next challenge is I'm already signed up for it. It's definitely happening. I'm doing a marathon in December. I'm doing the Rehoboth Beach marathon in December. It's on December 3rd. And it's in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. So I'm doing that marathon. And my goal for that marathon is to run a 3 hour, 30-minute marathon, or to be under 3 hours and 30 minutes. And that's because I think it's a realistic goal. It's a little bit of a reach based on my marathon times from my Ironman races, but I think it's realistic. And also it's because my weak link in my Ironman right now is my run. So I need to get faster on the run. I need to build my run strength. So that's the goal. So I'm going to try to run a 3 hour, 30 minute sub 3:30 marathon. That's the goal. I want to be under 3 hours and 30 minutes. And I'm going to try to do that in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware on December 3rd. And I'm going to document my training and continue the journey the way I did for my Ironman training. So stay tuned. And follow me over on Instagram and on other social medias, and you'll be able to see the journey as I move forward. And if I can ever improve it, thanks, Wally. I love that. In the chat. He just threw a huge go in the chat. Love that, Wally. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And if I can ever provide any insights, answer questions, do anything in those videos for anybody, don't hesitate to reach out, comment, ask questions. I would love you guys to be involved. And I really want you to come along on the journey with me. So thanks so much for the support that you've shown. Dominick and I here this week in this room, really appreciate it. Love you guys for showing up for us. And thank you on a personal note. Thank you for everybody that followed my journey leading up to my Ironman race and supported me through that, and commented on my finishes, the finish videos that I posted online. Really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate the support. Can't thank you enough. And I will do my best to keep it coming with some quality insights and bringing you guys along on my training journey. So thank you for being a part of it.
Good job.
That's all I got.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tom. I'll leave you with this from Tom's. It's never too late to set a new goal. Whatever that goal is, get out there, set it today. You can achieve it. You have what it takes. So until next time we're out, we appreciate each of you. Thanks for spending 5 minutes with us, 2 hours with us, commenting, putting something in the chat. We are appreciative, and we'll see you next week. So I'm pushing the buttons here, and we're ending this room. We'll see y'all later.